What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here, and the smartphone smackdown that I've been waiting years to do, perhaps you've been waiting to see, is an iPhone family feud. In the left-hand corner, we have the challenger, the Verizon iPhone 4, and on the right, we have the defending champion, the AT&T iPhone 4 dressed up in white. We're going to put these two Cupertino-made handsets to a showdown and see if we can have a winner, or at the very least help you decide which carrier is going to be best for you. So without further ado, let's fight. Alright, so let's start off with how the phones look, because they look very similar, although there are a few subtle differences. From the front, you've got that same slab interface, you've got the home buttons, front-facing camera. On the left, there are some antenna designs that have been changed, and whether or not that's been to accommodate the CDMA radio that's found in the Verizon version or meant to address the antenna issues, we'll see in an upcoming video. So the one on the left here is AT&T. You got the same break on the bottom left, and this is the one that was causing all those antenna problems. You still have that same location there on the Verizon device. The profile switches here are a little bit staggered, and you do not have the antenna break right above it on the AT&T phone. On the right hand side, this is where a lot of the differences are. You don't have a SIM card, same antenna lines, and you don't have the same break on the AT&T phone. Not overly exciting. Let's get to the stuff that I think most people are going to care about, and let's talk about network speed. So right now, both of these are connected to the same wireless network. I'm actually going to run a speed test here to show you that. So we've got the speed test app. Don't allow, use current location, don't allow, and we'll begin the test on each, and we'll just to show that they are running on the same Wi-Fi network. I am going to drop this down, however, to their 3G services. I just want to give you a baseline for at least what standard Wi-Fi is going to be, so you can compare your 3G offerings, whether it's AT&T or whether or not it's going to be Verizon. We got almost identical showings here, 9.72 versus what 9.9. So very close figures. So you got our up and down. Looks like the Verizon iPhone actually had a little bit of a faster uptick. That was just due to testing times. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn Wi-Fi off now, and let's get to some of the good stuff and test actual network speed here. So we can go ahead and kick Wi-Fi off. We'll do it here on the Verizon iPhone. I'm going to do the same thing here on the AT&T iPhone, and this is where a lot of the differences are going to come into play. So go ahead and kick that off. Alright, so I've got about 3 bars of Verizon 3G, and I've got about 4 bars or so of AT&T 3G. So we got pretty good service here. So let's start with a few web pages, and these are web pages that have been loaded on each device. So consider this a test of pages that you can look at on a regular basis. Let's start with the YouTube channel, youtube.com/John4Lakers. Go ahead and open it up, and I'll go ahead and queue it up here, and we'll do a pretty simple refresh just to see how things would look. Actually, I'll go ahead and type it in. There we go, John4Lakers channel. Then we'll go ahead and refresh these and see if there's any sort of speed test. And I do want to show you that both of these pages has, of course, been on here before. Alright, so looks like it's just about ready here on the AT&T side. So we'll go ahead and hit refresh on both. That right there. Go and go. So much easier when only testing 2 phones. Sometimes when you run these with 3 phones, it's impossible to get all your fingers in the right spot. So the AT&T phone definitely has a bit of an edge here when it comes to speed. We've got the Verizon, AT&T phone is done. The Verizon is still struggling to pull in the content. The bar is being held up right at the beginning. It looks like now we're starting to see some progress. And this is a little bit slower than I've seen in tests off camera, but it is representative of AT&T's network speeds. They actually have been much faster than Verizon's. So it's continuing to finish loading here. Alright, and it is done. Alright, so let's load a site that has a mobile version. For example, maybe one that has less graphics and images. Let's queue up here ESPN.com, which is going to load up the mobile version of each. Alright, for our next test, let's try ESPN.com, and again, this is going to be the mobile version. So go ahead and hit it on here, and hit it on here, and we'll go ahead and let them both load up and see if we've got any sort of speed winner. Looks like the AT&T clearly shows something earlier talking about a potential Lakers Nuggets trade, interestingly enough, and we're still seeing it load here on Verizon. And this is definitely representative of real-world speed. You are going to get faster downloads over 3G on the Verizon iPhone. When you're doing it over Wi-Fi, speed differences are completely negligible, especially if you're on the same Wi-Fi network. Not going to be much of a difference here. But you are definitely going to get faster data speeds with AT&T. But how much faster? Let's go ahead and go back to that same speed test app, and let's see what the difference is. Now again, I'm just in Southern California. You may have different results depending on where you are, but I'm pretty well blanketed in coverage for each. So we'll go ahead and open up both these speed test apps again. Button close the server. There we go. And let's go ahead and begin the test. And this isn't a speed test of the speed test. I just want to show you how quick Verizon's network is here and how quick AT&T's network is going to be. So we are loading. Keep in mind, 1 megabit per second to 2, is probably going to be a little bit on the faster side, but about what you can, what you can expect for average speeds. AT&T claims their 4G HSPA Plus network can pull in just about 6 megabits. If you want a bit of a comparison, whereas Verizon's LTE can pull down, upwards of 22. I've actually seen in real-world tests. So we've got a giant difference here when it comes to speed. A tremendous difference, actually, when it comes to speed download and upload. 3.7 megabits per second down on AT&T, 0.14 megabits per second down on Verizon, 1.11 up, and 0.02. Now, you don't have to know what those megabits mean, other than knowing the higher the number, the faster the download, and the faster the upload is going to be on the upload one. And there's a big difference here between 0.14 and 3.17. Something that I thought you guys might want to see. Alright, so let's go ahead and close this. Let's also go ahead and try opening some applications that are similar. I've downloaded Mega Jump here. It's a free game in the App Store. I've never opened it on either device. Let's see if there's any sort of discernible speed difference here. Well, now I can say I've opened it on both devices. Didn't quite work on time. Let's try that again. There we go. So get set. That was clearly not an accurate test. Moral being, they do open up pretty close to the same time. I don't want to enable open feint. And things look just about identical on each performance-wise. Gaming is going to be exactly the same. There really is no speed difference here at all. Where you will notice a difference, though, is if you're using an application that's data-heavy. It's where that data is going to come into play. All right, so let's talk. There's been a lot of talk, actually, about simultaneous voice and data and what that means to you and whether or not it's going to matter in your phone usage. So let me show you what that means. I'm going to go ahead and start loading a web page here. I'll go ahead and back, and I'm going to pull it off to the side, and I'm going to load, let's say, the YouTube channel again. So we'll load youtube.com/John4Lakers, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to actually call myself while the page is loading. I'm not on Wi-Fi, and we'll see what happens. So that's going to load. It's loading. I'm going to cover up the business here so you guys don't see any phone number action. You can see that the phone is going to actually ring while this is going on. So there you go. Phone is ringing. Go ahead and end that there. So there is sort of your calling while you are browsing. Let's try the same thing, but we'll reverse that now. We'll bring in the iPhone 4 for Verizon, and I'll load up the same YouTube page. And we'll see what happens here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make the same phone call. Let's go ahead and hit load. I'm going to cover up this business as well. Try and dial the phone. And you can see the page is loading. And it's still going to ring. There's been a lot of questions of whether or not the phone's even going to ring or not. It was a concern that I had, something that certainly you don't need to worry about. However, if you are on a phone call, for example, and you are trying to do some internet browsing, you're not going to be able to do so on the Verizon iPhone 4. Something to keep in mind, but the phone will certainly ring if you are using the web or some sort of other application. It was a concern that I had, having not been a Verizon iPhone user before, since it's a new device, and I thought you guys might have had that concern as well. Call quality wise, as far as the call fidelity, I will say that both AT&T and Verizon do sound equally good to my ear here in Southern California. I've certainly had dropped call issues with AT&T. I have not had the Verizon iPhone long enough to determine that those are going to be the same problems. I can tell you that I've driven through areas where I traditionally get dropped calls with AT&T, and I've not had those problems with the Verizon phone, but there may be very fresh, new, dead drop zone areas with Verizon that I'm not getting with AT&T. So it's too early to really make a call on that. The Verizon iPhone is not really mass available yet either, so I'm curious to how this is going to change once there's sort of a bigger network adoption and more pressure on the network itself. So anyway guys, this has been a head-to-head comparison of the Verizon iPhone versus the AT&T iPhone. Which camp are you in? Which is carrier of your choice? I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. Leave your comments down below. I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. Check out the website for all your tech news for exclusive content. Check me out at Twitter, twitter.com/John4Lakers, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.